Ben. Ben, let's bring you in. What part of the picture have you got on this?
Hi, everybody. Great to be here as ever. So last week, we talked about the rise of the Khmer Rouge, and I made some comparisons, drew some parallels between what happened in Cambodia in the mid-70s and some of the things that we're seeing happening in our own society today. Now, the Khmer Rouge was a radical Marxist movement who seized power and killed over a third of the Cambodian population. This resonated with a lot of people, but also a few people, a smaller number, felt that this was an inappropriate comparison to draw. Now, I want to build on this because I think it's important and it really underpins everything that we talk about here on a weekly basis, because I'm not suggesting for a second that the exact same thing is happening here. What I'm saying is that there are parallels. We know that history doesn't repeat itself, according to Mark Twain, but it often rhymes. And I can hear rhymes happening around me on a constant basis. I'm not saying that this is the exact same ideological position that Stalin was taking, although we do know that he is a communist. It's something else. It's something new. It is an emergent phenomenon. And we're developing the language to describe it. And two words that I've arrived at that I think are useful, and I'm not saying that this is a definitive definition, but I like this idea of woke fascism. Woke, intersectional Marxism, and fascism, the integration of the market and the state. And I see these two things coming together. I believe they have come together, and this is the ideological platform that is driving everything around us. And I subtitle this as an unholy alliance between money and power. Now, you could think of it a little bit like this. If we can reach back to antiquity, and Alex will no doubt enjoy this and probably laugh at my terrible attempt to talk about the Chimera, the fire-breathing beast of Greek mythology with the body and head of a lion, the head of a goat attached to its torso, and a snake as a tail. It's not easily explained. It's rarely seen in nature, but it is extremely dangerous. And for me, that's what woke fascism is. Yeah. So let's dig into these a little bit. First of all, let's look at woke, and let's hear from James Lindsay from New Discourse talking at the European Parliament sometime early last year.
Woke is Marxism, and it's a very provocative statement. It's something you will certainly hear it is not, that it is different, and the professors and the philosophers will spend a large amount of time explaining to you why. No, it's about economics when it's Marxism. This is social, this is cultural, this is different. It's not different. I need you to think biologically for one moment, and I don't mean about your bodies. We could do that. That's a different topic. I want you to think how we organize plants and animals when we study them. They're species, but above species there are the genus of the animals. So you think like the cats, all the cats, but you have tigers, you have lions, you have house cats, you have whatever, leopards, many different kinds of cats. If we think of Marxism as a genus of ideological thought, then classical economic Marxism is a species, radical feminism is a species in this same genus, critical race theory is a species in this genus, queer theory is a species in this genus, post-colonial theory that's plaguing Europe is a species in this genus, and they have something that binds them together called intersectionality that makes them treated as if they are all one thing. But the logic is Marxist.
So the dominant cultural narrative surrounding us, certainly as being put forward by the left, is fundamentally Marxist. Yeah, so we're constantly being talked to about race, gender, sexual orientation. All of these are subcategories of Marxist thought. And I strongly recommend going to watch that video. You can find it on YouTube. James Lindsay talking at the European Parliament. It's about half an hour long. He does an exceptional job of defining woke and defining the danger that it potentially presents. And he also, within that piece, goes on to talk about the way that the Marxists have essentially abandoned the proletariat in order to go into partnership with international capital, right? Which is a really important development that, again, explains a lot of what we're seeing around us. Now, we've talked about woke, intersectional Marxism. Let's talk about fascism, the integration of the market and the state. And as Mussolini, the man who invented fascism, described it, it should more appropriately be called corporatism, because it is a merger of state and corporate power. And this is the global policy platform of choice. Let's have a look at the World Economic Forum, Keir Starmer's favourite place to hang out, how to harness the transformative potential of public-private partnerships. Where else have we seen this? It's not new. Blair talked about it in the 90s. Clinton talked about it in the 90s. The idea of third-way politics, a strong state with dynamic markets working together in an integrated fashion. That is fascism, right? This pamphlet here, written by Blair from 1998, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner there, just slightly obscured, that this was published by the Fabian Society. The Fabian Society, the global socialist, or the organization that's been pursuing a global socialist superstate since 1884. So I think that you can also think of woke fascism as Fabianism. I believe that those terms are interchangeable. And where do we see Fabianism? Everywhere. Half of the cabinet are Fabians. Keir Starmer is a Fabian. Tony Blair is a Fabian. I could go on. Where do we see these philosophies, these ideologies, these positions appearing in public policy? Well, we can already see it in the Demos report that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, Only We Can Save the State, where Demos, which is a Marxist think tank, is talking about standing up to the big forces of development capital and working with them as equals. Right? We are now equals with development capital. The state is working hand in glove with capital, business, the markets. How are they doing it? Through forums such as this. This is EY, the global consulting firm, who are a strategic partner of the World Economic Forum, hosting Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves and other shadow cabinet members at the start of this year to introduce them to 40 CEOs of major European businesses that they are going to be working with when they assume power later in the year, which is where we are today. Where else do we see it happening? Well, Starmer, on his grand tour of European powers over the past few weeks, met with Simon Harris, the Irish Taoiseach, over the weekend. They're talking about delivering growth and prosperity for both of our countries. And let's hear very quickly what Simon Harris is all about.
There's a lot of talk at the moment about going back to normal. And we all want to go back to normal in terms of the things we miss in life. But from a public policy point of view, we're never going back to normal. We need to get to a new normal. We do need to truly build back better.
Build back better, Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum. This is what Starmer is up to. This is what he's doing, and it's imbued every single part of the state, every single part of the market. He was in Germany this was about 2 weeks ago, I think. Apologies, I forget the exact date. Meeting with Olaf Scholz, meeting also with Siemens. So you can see there, excuse me, I've jumped ahead slightly. So he's doing the state bit, then he's doing the market bit. Right? Siemens is a World Economic Forum partner. They're delivering all the technology and also a bunch of the leadership for Great British Energy, which Ed Miliband is extremely excited about. He says it's going to be the envy of the world, just like our NHS, which basically means that we give loads of money to the government, who then keep a chunk of it, spend some of it to deliver services to us, and then tell us that we're getting a good deal. Right? This is a scam, but that is what the public-private marketplace actually looks like. And if you complain about it, you can expect to be slandered, demonized, locked up, and subjected to increasingly serious acts of violence. Right? And that is the situation that I see in front of me here in the UK and further afield.
Ben, thank you very much for that. Well, I think the picture is coming to the surface pretty